right, good night and welcome to Just a Conversation. In the midst tonight, you have none other than Minister Amon, Brother Matthew, Minister Hayden. Man, don't forget to hop over to our YouTube page, Just a Conversation. Don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to like. Man, it's been a while. It's been a while. It's been
crazy, man.
It's been crazy.
But it's a blessing. It's like we see some deaths. We made it through.
How that song go? Blessing fall upon my life, man. Yeah. Even though it's crazy, it's still blessed.
Listen,
yeah.
I don't know. Ever since the year started, I'm like, yo, this is gonna be a blessing, and it's just a windfall.
It's a windfall. It's either you blessed and you accept it, or you just even in failure, you're still blessed.
And it's like as we get closer to the end of the year, I feel like I just felt it in my being that it's just gonna be a tsunami of funds.
Tsunami of funds.
It's like we just get some trickle early on in the year, and then it's like something
I don't think the early of the year was trickle. I think that was a lot.
That's why I say I feel like that was a trickle, and then it's like, and then the big thing is coming close towards the end. But it's like, hey, that's just how I feel.
We ain't out yet.
We ain't out yet.
Remember
exactly.
that. Remember that.
We ain't out yet. So how you feeling?
I can't complain.
Can't complain. God's been good. God's been so good. Minister Man, how you feeling?
Man, I'm alive and well. I'm good.
Man,
still.
I'm happy both y'all alive and well, man. I'm happy to be back on this platform. You know what I mean? It's been a while.
Yeah.
You know, different issues, different situations, different stuff happened. But guess what? Life still roll. We're here, you know, and we still continue to do our thing. So, you know, it's in remarks of what's everything that's going on, in remarks of everything that's happening around us. You know, it's for us as believers. It's for us as children of the Most High to continue to press and continue to push. You know, we're not supposed to let nothing stop us. We're not going to let anything hinder us. And we're not going to let nothing hold us back. The only thing that can hold us back is ourselves.
Thanks.
Right? The only thing that can hold us back is ourselves. So
we're looking good on camera.
tonight we're going to be talking about, let's talk about break tradition. You know, because there's a lot of tradition that holds us. You know, our past, you know, our ancestors, you know, our family. You know, it's a lot of things that hold us back, you know, and tonight we're going to talk about, you know, let's talk about breaking tradition. You know, like, you know, anything that, you know, you could think about, you know, that comes to mind, you know, no matter how, you know, personal it is, you know, let's talk about it tonight. So
I noticed because my family go through it sometimes, and it's like most times they don't let it bother them, but every now and then I see that old ways to bother them. Like, you know how in Jamaican household they're like, oh, the other people are watching, you can't do this or you can't do that. I'm like, why?
Oh, that's what you're saying.
Yeah. Because it's like it's like my dad. He's still getting over it, but it's like there's still times where he's like, oh, people might say something. I'm like, that. What that got to do with me?
Do you think it's a subconscious thing?
No, it's like because it's like not only he did it, but my grandmother.
So it's traditional.
Yeah, they've done it. My aunts, whether it be on my mom or my dad's side, they all done it. And it's like the thing is I love about one of my aunts, Janet. You know yourself, so God bless. And Blossom. You guys, they're the ones of the few I know from my mom's side who's like, yo, I don't watch no favorite. One of her favorite saying was "Free me up from mental slavery." I'm like, what? And then every time I think about it, and then somebody tries to say, "Oh, people," I'm like, "Yo, free me up from mental slavery."
Yeah, that's redemption.
Like, just let me be me. And it's like that's how they always live their life. It's like they don't let other people dictate them. Not saying that words of caution isn't helpful, but at the same time, don't try to dictate my whole entire life. I am living my way and you're living your way. You've been through some things, and I know that sometimes I have to go through my own thing. It's not gonna be pretty all the time, but hey, let me live my life.
But going through your own things, you learn from different scenarios, you learn from different situations, you know. So you have to go through your own thing, you know, to learn also. And you know, one of the things like I respect, you know, with the whole breaking tradition thing is even fatherhood. You know what I mean? I don't have to do it the way that my father did it. I don't have to do it the way that my father's father or my grandfather did it. You know, it's time for me to look at, you know, it's like I tell folks, you know, like, listen, you have positive and negative. So I might say to you, like, you know, like Matthew, like, who was the worst, you know, teacher you ever had, and who's the best teacher you ever had?
Oh, that was my math. Was it math? Yeah, math teacher in middle school.
The math teacher in middle school. But at the same token, you know, if you look at anything at a battery, You got positive and negative.
Yeah.
So it's up for us at this age and this stage, to look at the positive and just forget about the negative, and start to build on that. Build on that part, build on the better part, and not look at the negative, and let the negative pull us back. Like a big saying that we used to hear coming up, like, you're going to be worthless like your father. You're not going to come out to nothing. I'm not going to look at none of my kids and say that, because that's speaking bad over their life.
Yeah, it is.
You understand what I'm saying? So it's for us to break that tradition and to break that mindset and break that, everything, and people understand, like, listen, you at this point, with your own free will, you can do better, and you will do better. I remember one time I told Minister Amon, I was like, listen, if you get a ministry, you're gonna start it off of what you know. And that was so wrong of me to say that, because you don't have to do that. You could start a ministry and start it fresh from your whole mindset and what God has given you. It doesn't have to be off tradition. It doesn't have to be where, you read the Bible and you do this and you do that, and it's like program.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that. It could be something different. Same thing with parenting. It doesn't have to be the way that we're brought up. It could be different.
Yeah.
You could have an awesome relationship with your child, and people look at you, your child, and think that you brothers and sisters, when it's actually a child, and they still have the respect for you.
Yeah.
I look at my father. I got mad respect for my father, and it's not like I would never disrespect my father or curse around my father, nothing like that. Never did. Even when I was in the world, it's something I never did. And I grew up with that respect, and then now I instill that respect in my kids, where it's like, listen, like, we cool, but it's gonna be boundaries, But I'm not gonna speak like crazy stuff over their life, because I understand that, like, there's words in our tongue. The Bible said death and life is in the power of your tongue, right? So we have to understand, like, breaking tradition. We have to break a lot of things, and when you start to break tradition, it's not gonna be easy. Cause think about, like, when bones or anything break, it's hard to mend.
Yeah.
Because some of the time we're still going through our mending period. So we have to mend 100%, to break the stuff that held us back. Just like you say, emancipate myself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. That's what Bob Marley said. So it's in us.
But one thing I look at with that is, if I'm doing something because someone else did it, and I don't believe in it, like, am I, like, lying to myself? Does that matter? Or, if I was decide to had something in me that felt like going a certain way, and I didn't do it, wouldn't that also be like lying to myself? Like, there's certain things in us that we have in us, and regardless of what anybody says, it's still in us to be or do.
Right.
So if we don't reach out for it and go for it, even though the whole world is against us, isn't it like we lying to our true self?
You think so?
Yeah, because if that's what we're meant to be, what causes us from, if not tradition or the conformity of this world and what people say, what causes us to not pick up that torch and go with it and be a trailblazer or whatever? There has to be some.
I think it's doubt.
Yeah, but I mean, what I'm saying is the fact that if someone says, "Hey, you'll never be this," or "You're gonna be worthless," and if it's not in me to be worthless,
it's not gonna happen.
But I can choose that back road and be like, you know what, you're right. Some people have done that. You told a story one time where, that you said someone was being talked about and they just rolled with it. They went with how the person was talking about them, and it didn't end up well for them. And they used it as, like, to burn, the person that said it, which they burnt themselves. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to say is, do we lie to ourselves because of, what someone else said?
When you say do we lie to ourselves, you're talking about when somebody says something and we actually believe in it and starting to lie to ourselves? That's what you mean?
Like, if someone says, bro, you worthless, and you're not there's
worthless?
something in you that's not worthless, do you lie to yourself and just be like, you know what, since you say I'm worthless, I'm going to become worthless? Just follow, like, tradition or follow what that person is saying.
You think that's lying to yourself, or that's just believing what the person said? Or
Well, I mean,
it could be the same thing.
I think it's the same, because I remember a few years ago there was this kid, Jamaican kid. His folks, I don't know what happened to his folks, but he was living with his aunt and stuff like that. And he ended up, they used to think nothing of him, and, like, downgraded him to as nothing.
Yeah.
So he ended up making a video. And
that's the story you told me.
And
That's
then killing himself.
Yeah, that's the one I remembered. I remember
it was okay.
Yeah.
But it goes to show how much words mean.
Yeah.
And he kind of did it to, like, made the video to spite them, to burn them, like, but he ended up. So that's what I'm saying. And if like, I mean, even the people that don't believe in God, like, your purpose was not to be born to kill yourself.
That's true.
So why would
you do it?
Why would you lie to yourself and kill yourself thinking like the world doesn't need me or I have no purpose and I'm just gonna end that purpose early or kill myself? Isn't that like, they were deceived, right? Mm-hmm. Did they not lie to themselves? Did they not believe what people told them?
But you think we should believe what people say, or we should just do what we're called to do, or be what we're called to be?
I think it's to a balance to a certain extent. Like if I get good advice from
mm-hmm.
you and it's positively affecting my life,
mm-hmm.
yeah, I should take that. But if I get advice from you and I don't think it's like fit for my life, even if it might be positive affected you,
mm-hmm.
that was your time, that was your season. It might not affect me in my time and season.
But so do you know that some people could receive positive messages and still take it in a negative way?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. And that has to do with where their mind is.
mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Because I could look at you and I could be like, man, Minister Hayden, he does this, he has this, he does that, he has that. But I don't know what you went through to get that.
Exactly.
I'm gonna be not trying to cut you off.
No problem.
End up cutting you off anyways. So the thing is, for me, you right about that, but it's like I've noticed where, because a friend of mine, we all grew up in church. Well, he ended up coming in church and then in high school and stuff like that. And I mean, he started worshiping. He moved. Progression was heavy, right? He ended up becoming a little deacon in a sense, and but the thing is, people keep on like, yes, brother, you saying the word, pray for me and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But it's like they're saying positive stuff, but it's like building the ego.
Yeah.
And not only that, it's like rushing into certain things that before time.
Yeah.
So it's like he when cause they keep on feeding him, like feeding his ego.
Yeah.
To the point where he's like, yes, I'm going to start my own ministry. I don't have no problem starting it, but when you just start, I feel like you still need
guidance.
Yeah, guidance and to build your foundation.
You do, definitely.
So it's like, yes, you're a good preacher.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take that from you, but what else do you have?
There's a whole aspect. It's not just preaching. It's not just because you can preach good, it doesn't mean that you can lead, that you can pay the bills, that you can be a manager over, certain buildings and people. Just because
that's the thing with most of these that I have with new converts. I'm like, yeah, I respect the fact that you want to go for these higher positions, but do you recognize what's behind it? And if you do, what are you doing currently to prepare yourself? Because it's like understanding it and actually going through it. I mean, you guys tell me every day, it's like, I respect that you understand, but have you been through it? I'm like, nah. So I'm like, I understand that we have to go through it, but at the same time, it's like prepare yourself so you could win. Isn't that pretty much how you do it in football?
But that's
right. That's why you practice. That's why you have. That's why you have practices. That's why. But the thing with life, you don't get no practice. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like you're living every day, for today, unless you're trying to make today for tomorrow. The thing with me with tradition, to me, is like it's a mindset, and you have to overcome that mindset, to get better or to become something better. It's just like when you think about the story of Moses. If Moses that grew up in that Israel mindset, he would have been just like the children of Israel.
Yeah.
But God had to separate him out of that and put him around kings. So he walks around with a different mindset.
Definitely.
And that's the thing. Tradition holds you into that mindset where these people were just comfortable.
Yeah.
We're like, listen, okay, I know I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna be a slave. And then I'm gonna get pretty much work for food, come home, and that's it, really. But for you to break tradition, you have to break your mindset. That's why the Bible says you have to renew your mind. And you have to become, what you want to be and who you want to be.
Yeah.
And the purpose of living every day and the purpose of going through different scenarios and different stuff in life is to make a better you. It's not for you to fall back into tradition, but a lot of people fall back into tradition. And the thing with tradition, like with island people, like say for instance, like they have this thing in their house, they call it a whatnot. Where they have like all these nice dishes and stuff, and where you don't eat from it, you don't touch it.
Okay.
Why? So now you grow up and you seen it. So guess what you do? You get one.
Yeah, it's decoration.
You know what I mean? It's just like when I grew up, you couldn't sit in the living room.
Nah.
You sit in a different room.
Yeah.
Because that's the good furniture.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the purpose? You know, so all those
It's for
traditions
sure.
and stuff that's following us, and different tradition, you know, that's from different colonies and like they follow those tradition, and not knowing that you're not doing no good to yourself, but you just fall into a trap with your mindset. You know, you have to renew your mind and be different now and say, listen, I'm not gonna do that, and I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna have a room that you can't sit in, or a room that has all the plastic in it, where you sit under, you get stuck.
But I mean, look, I was talking about this with somebody today. Sometimes, man, you got some people that you be around, and you're afraid to speak how you really feel
But you shouldn't.
to them.
Why
No,
you around those people?
No, you shouldn't. But my point being is, some people like to be in that club,
Right.
and some people like to be in that place where, you know, we could just agree, and we could never talk about anything that's. I might be thinking about, well, I want to question what you said.
Right.
And that person might get defensive about me questioning it, and then everyone else is looking at that one person. Like, come on, man, you messing up a good thing. You just messing up the whole vibe. Everybody was agreeing. Everybody was saying this. But if a person really has a question in their spirit and they don't agree, or they might be like, I don't understand what is being said, why should I be able to just quench what I'm saying, hush my mouth, and just go along with everything if I don't understand or don't agree?
Right.
And I feel like we do have that even in churches. And I feel like, you know, it's for one thing, like, if I don't want to do something just because someone tells me to do it, if my spirit is not okay with it or I don't understand it, I feel like if I do, I'm lying. Like, if I don't feel like I call you minister, you know what I'm saying, out of respect. But I feel like, you know what I'm saying, like, if my kids, if they don't respect me, they could call me by my first name. I don't want them to call me dad, pops, or whatever, and they don't respect me as that until I do something for them. Like, if they in a problem state or fix it, they need money, and I give it to them. Oh, thanks, Dad. But then if I'm not able to give them what they want,
Oh, what's up, Donovan?
you see what I'm saying? So I would rather call me by my first name until you respect me enough to call me
Right.
with respect, to talk to me with respect. Other than that, you just got your hand around my shoulder and you stabbing me in my back. I can see through that. I don't care about that. I care about real.
Or they
how
have
you-
they have their hand around their shoulder to see what they could get from you.
You
The
see what I'm
handouts,
saying?
yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So you know what I'm saying? Don't talk to me like, or sit in the congregation, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm just because of the simple fact that a title has you there. I feel like that's tradition a lot of times. Because I feel like a lot of people have their problems and they won't even bring their problems, you know, and confess their problems just
To you.
because you're in the church. You shouldn't be going through that. You're supposed to be saved, filled with the Holy Ghost.
And you know, it's good that you said that too. I always ask myself is that, you know, right now we're like about, I want to say 150 to almost 200 strong. You know, what's going to happen when we get to 400, 500, 600? When you can't really get a hold of apostle, who you going to call? You understand what I'm saying?
dark. It's gonna
So
get
people
real
have to start understanding why God told Moses, like, listen, man, you got to get some deacons, get some people around you.
Yeah.
And then the Lord said, listen, I'm gonna fill them with your spirit.
Yeah.
So even though, you know, people might not look at us like, oh, we carry the mantle of the anointing as the apostle.
Yeah.
Guess what? We have his spirit inside of us.
Man, anyone, if I go to one of your sons, they should know how you operate your house.
Exactly.
And you should be able to tell them in your absence, hey, Minister Donovan's coming over, tell him do this, tell him do that.
Right.
They should know.
They should know.
All of them, all the way down.
And all of us should know.
So if we can't do that, there's a problem.
There's a problem.
Yeah, either we just don't want to do it or we're not paying attention. Because if you sit in a place long enough, you'll know how a person moves.
Exactly.
Good and bad.
And then that's what happened with growth. When you start growing now, that's when the tradition and stuff start going through the back door and just getting away from you, because tradition holds you back.
Of course,
You know, it holds you back from moving forward. And then, you know, once you give up, you know, that mindset and you start to believe and start to move with the times and start to move with the newness and what God is doing, then guess what? Everything starts to move with that. You know, people started coming in, people started to come around you. You know, there's more, you know, life around you. There's more, you know, people around you with the right spirit.
Yeah.
You know, I should say. You know, so when you just stuck in tradition, then you're just being held back. You know, it's like, you know, the story that Apostle always say, like the man was in the gravesite, you know, and he's holding on to the chain, and the demon kept pulling him, but he didn't want to let go. A lot of people don't want to let go of tradition.
I think it's a balance, man. You have to have a balance. Some things that's positive, you know, that are tradition, you hold on to. some things that
Give me an example of that.
some things that are positive that you
Yeah.
hold on to, like say for instance, like discipline.
Discipline.
Like my father, you know what I'm saying, he would discipline us, you know, and I'd be like, man, if I have kids, I'd never discipline
But
them.
then it's kind of hard to say that because you might have somebody that had harsh discipline.
Well, that's true, but
Yeah.
and that's what I'm saying. So I get to the point where I could be like, man, if I have kids, I'd never discipline my kids.
Right.
But all I had to do was moderate how I disciplined them, or discipline them maybe a different way, or you know, take out the what I thought was bad that he did, but still discipline my kids, but don't discipline them according to, you know, what I thought was bad that he did. And he might have not knew because his father might have disciplined him more than he was disciplining me.
Right.
And I don't know that. You see what I'm saying?
It's like a thin line, you know, and
It is.
you know, I was thinking back on like some scenarios that I went through, you know, and I was in the midst of some people and they were asking me like some questions, you know, like an interview. And you know, they ask you a question based on what you have been through, you know, while you're in the position you're in.
Yeah.
You know, so and they want you to answer it truthfully.
Yeah.
So if they say, listen, like, okay, I know you worked under Donovan, you know, how was he as somebody above you?
Yeah.
They don't want you to be like, and honestly, like 90% of the time they know the truth.
Yeah.
They know the type of person you are. They
Before
know
they ask
exactly.
you. Yeah.
So when they ask you that question, they want you to answer it truthfully.
Yeah.
And a lot of us, you know, when you sit there and you're under in that fun, you're like, man, like, I might. You're sitting there thinking a lot of stuff go through your head. You're like, I might work back underneath Donovan another day.
Yeah.
And then what if this gets to him? You know what I mean? You start thinking around that line, then you start to like make up situations, and then, you know, you're starting to look at it like, you know what? It is what it is. And then you just say what it is. And then, you know, they understand they understand the frustration.
Yeah.
They understand the position that they're putting you in.
It's the
But they
truth,
want to
man.
see if you're going to be truthful.
It's the truth.
Or if you're going to just say, you know what, let me rest back. Let me tell some lies and let me, you know, kind of like, you know, butter this up.
Yeah.
You know, and when you're truthful with stuff, you know, that's when you cross that line and you let people understand that your mindset now is different. You know, your changing is different.
Yeah.
You know, and when you start to move like that and you move along with a new mindset, to me, like that stuff don't offend you.
Nah, it won't.
Right. So
The
like
truth
if
sets you free.
somebody's come to you and say, listen, how is it like to work on a Donovan? You're gonna be like, man, listen, like XYZ, yeah, he has this point that's good about him, but then at the end of the day, like he's condescending, he's this, he's that, you know what I mean? So
That's what
you
it
have
is.
to be truthful to yourself.
Yeah.
First of all.
That's it.
And then once you're truthful to yourself, everything that you put your hands to will be a blessing, man.
Yeah.
And the thing is that a lot of us, to me, is just we're trying to like you said, like please people instead of like being truthful and doing what
They think because they that they have to lie in order to cover up for themselves.
exactly.
Oh, because it's easy. Like, okay, look, the last time I got physically beaten by my mother, I was probably like 16, 17 years old. And
It's been a real nice beating.
she told me not to go to a certain place. And I had previously been getting in trouble, suspended from school, you know, arrested, previously been getting in trouble. And she told me not to go to a certain place. She was like, you up early in the morning, where you gonna go? And I told her, and she was like, I wouldn't go there if I was you. I went, like, it's nothing, got in trouble, got detained, came back, she had the belt ready. She was beating me. So she says, when you gonna stop getting in trouble? Like, during the beating, when you gonna stop getting in trouble? And I looked at her and I said, I don't know. And she was like, what? She just stopped. And she was like, what do you mean you don't know? Like, because for me to get the beating to stop, I'm going to stop getting in trouble now. That's what I would have said.
Yeah. But you know for sure that ain't.
I was lying. I would have been lying just to stop the whooping.
Yeah.
She knew that's what, you know what I'm saying, I wanted to do. She would have stopped it. She would have played that game. I would have played that game. That's tradition. I told her, I don't know. She stopped. She said, what? I said, because if I say I'm going to stop getting in trouble and I get in trouble, then I lied to you. So I said, I'd rather sit there and tell you the truth. I don't know. And that's the last whooping I ever got. And she understood, she understood at that point in time, that I wasn't just giving her what she wanted. That I was really giving her the truth, what she needed. And she realized, like, boy, you not scared to tell the truth anymore. Just because you might get hurt. And I think that's how we are sometimes. We're scared to tell people the truth because of what they will say to us and about what we're doing. It's like a guilt in us. Like Adam, he disobeyed God and he hid.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want to tell God the truth, even though God knew the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I got a question because I know that I go through it sometimes. It's based off that, but it's more along the lines like sometimes I'm afraid to like ask for stuff because it's like for me I just want to do it myself, but
You afraid of rejection?
kinda, but it's like it's not it's even if I know what the answer was gonna I assume what the answer is gonna be sometimes. So it's like so I just it's not even rejection because there time I'm okay with a person saying no. It's just asking for help. That right there, that's a part that kind of bothers me at times. It's like I want to do it myself, but
I think a lot of us have expectations to where, like, if I come to tell you something and we friends, we cool, and you don't give me the answer I want to hear, then, like, we ain't cool no more. Like, I ain't gonna talk to you for a month. Like, I thought we was straight. I thought we was cool.
But that's foolishness.
But a lot of us have it in us.
Yeah.
What if I was to be like, hey, Minister Hayden, like, man, hey, this dude, man, he punched me in my eye right outside the church. And you was just like, so what? Get over it. I'll be like, what? I'm going to look at you in a different way. But if I had in my mind to be like, oh, me and Minister Hayden, we finna go and we going to address the man. We going to talk to the man. And you did that. Oh, we cool. We friends. Hey, Minister Hayden, remember the time that. But if someone sits here and tells you, you know what? Let it go. It's, get over that.
And it's funny that you say that because I used to be the same way. I used to be intimidated to ask people for stuff. And then I just figured out, like, listen, if you always leave that space in your system for rejection or the person to say no,
it'll come.
Then you'll be fine. But if you're always looking for like yes, it's not gonna happen.
That's the thing though. You can handle the rejection, but it's more like you just want to do it yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but if you do everything yourself, you're gonna wear yourself out.
There's that.
But I always had the mentality that a closed mouth don't get fed.
Exactly, that too. So we have not because we ask not. So you would never know like what a person might say.
Yeah.
They might say
yeah.
If you ask.
You never know.
That's I'm being honest with you. That's something that I had to get over. And thank God I got over it because like I'm not afraid to like ask somebody or step to somebody and say XYZ, and what's up with this, what's going on with this. And then also make sure your approach is good also. Don't just approach them in any way.
Yeah, you gotta work on that.
Your approach gotta be like, welcoming. Once they're welcome that you gotta understand like people are gonna gel off your spirit. If you have a good spirit and you come to someone, you can like tell when your wife or somebody's in a bad mood. You feel it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you could just sense it. It's the same thing with us. You could sense when somebody's just not in the mood. So they're not in the mood. This is not a good time to approach them.
Okay, but look, how much times have you seen in like maybe a sitcom like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or whatever, where someone comes to like Uncle Phil asking for money and they be trying to butter him up?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So how much times like does tradition make us do that too?
It does.
You see what I'm saying?
Because it makes you feel like that's the only way to get what you want.
Yeah, so and what I understand and what I realize, like I was telling my daughter, because I'm working with them kindergarten and first grade online in school, and I'm working on their hard areas. Like I'm seeing everything, like her handwriting and stuff like that, and she'll get frustrated. Now I can't write this, I can't do that, and I'll be like, calm down, just take a couple minutes, take a breath, and I'm sitting here like, look, if you're frustrated and you say you can't do it, you're never going to
do it. Yeah.
I say, and even if you're frustrated and you try to do it, your work is going to come out messy. I said, you need to calm down. And I say, one thing is you got to practice over and over again until you're mastering your emotions. And you're learning how to deal with your frustrations the proper way. So that even though you do get frustrated, you learn how to manage that and handle that and still do a good product and say, here. And the handwriting is neat still. Mm-hmm. I said, that's all it is. I said, because, like even you were talking about in the world, we don't have control over what happens in the world. A wind could just blow. Something could come out of left field, and it could hit us and knock us down. Mm-hmm. Even in a perfect world, bro, there's going to be even something like with us, because we're imperfect, that's going to mess up everything in the alignment. So regardless of what happens, if a person says no when you ask them, man, still have a backup plan. Still have a
Exactly.
way to get through.
You get it done.
If you don't, man, then you will never get anything done in life.
Imagine if Apostle had to do everything. He had to go play the guitar. He had to go play the piano. He had to beat the drum. He had to sing. He had to. It would nothing. It would not be. It wouldn't be on one accord. It would sound like it would sound really bad.
I don't think he would have lasted this long.
You know what I mean? So the fact that you could. That's one thing that we have to do too, is just to let go sometime and let people just do what you ask them to do, and watch them. I'm not saying for you to have a tight net on them, but watch them and make sure that they're doing the right things or what needs to be done. And then also when you're gonna like discipline them, discipline them from a place of love, but let them also know, like, listen, like, if you continue to go down that road, we have to come up with a different solution, which might require you being replaced or something. It's not because that we're in a church setting where we have to accept anybody's behavior, accept anything, because of what their mentality is. But no, we could fix that and we could change it.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So it's a lot of things, in life that we have to understand, that we have to, get our mind right, get our mindset right. If your mind is not into it, if your mind is not willing to change, if your mind is not willing to break anything, sometimes I think about like birth. I always hear Pastor Laurie always talk about the birthing process. And when you look at somebody, giving birth, bones are shifted, everything is broken.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, for you to break tradition, you're going to need deliverance.
Yeah.
And that process is not going to be easy.
Nah.
Delivering process is going to take some work.
It is.
But you have to put that work behind it. And your mindset has to be made up to where you could tell yourself, like, listen, I am going to do this. It's like me. Today I sent my Apostle a picture of me in the mirror. I said, listen, I got this.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be cocky. I'm trying to be prideful.
Yeah.
But if I don't tell myself and convince myself that I got this, then guess what? I might walk into somewhere and then fear takes me over. So if when you tell yourself and you start to boost yourself up, just like Paul said, I can do all things through Christ who strengthened me. So if you know that you're giving honor to Christ, and we're telling Christ, like, listen, God, I need you to go before me. I need you to go. But then he said, then you can tell yourself, listen, I got this. You know why?
Yeah.
Because my Father's going before me.
Yeah.
And if you look at anything from beginning, when God made the earth, he made the earth where it's self-sufficient and did everything.
Yeah.
Adam didn't have to do anything.
Nah.
But it's because he got caught up, and now we start all this tradition and everything coming up. That's why, now we have to sweat. We have to do what we have to do. We have to do stuff so hard.
Yeah.
That's why the Lord said, listen, now when a woman have a baby, she's going to hurt. She's going to feel pain.
Yeah,
so don't think deliverance is just going to come like that. No, you're going to feel some pain. You're going to go through some things.
It has to.
Because for you to break anything, just like anybody that's coming off drugs or they're coming off, drinking or whatever, that cycle is rough.
Yeah.
Because you're sitting there actually looking, like you be driving and you just see a corner store, you're like, man, I want a beer. I want this or I want that.
Yeah.
It's because like your mind is just not ready to let go. So when your mind is fully ready to let go, it's going to take some work.
Yeah.
And it's going to hurt sometimes, bro. Sometimes you're going to go through some withdrawals and you're going to be like, man, why am I going through this? But it takes that, to break that tradition and to break that stuff off you, and that deliverance, for you to go through that deliverance 100%. It's gonna break some things inside of you that you might yourself don't want to be broken, but it has to be broken for you to move forward into the next stage.
When you dealing with tradition, it's like it's a subconscious reflex that's in your body.
Yeah.
Like we talked about muscle memory, brother Matt. It's like it doesn't matter. Like for instance, if I was drinking, right, and I realized if I have an argument with somebody, well, I gotta go drink a Heineken, or I gotta go drink.
Yeah, they say pull your pressure down.
Yeah. or it's just the slightest things, man. Like some people just do things out of habit, man. They get around the fellas and
That's
or they walk
exactly
past
what
the
it is. You
place.
said it right, habit.
Yeah. And the point that I'm trying to say is, I could in my mind fast from it for years. You see what I'm saying? But it doesn't take away the reflex or the muscle memory or the habits.
It doesn't.
You still have to fight those things like they real. And on a good day, I might be 9 out of 10 fighting it. But on a bad day, I might be like, I might be struggling. You understand what I'm saying? And what I understand too sometimes is, like, you could come up with something by yourself to do, but like we always talk about iron sharpens iron.
Right.
Or it's in the book, I think, like Ecclesiastes, it says if a man falls in a pit, another man could help him up.
Help him out, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And then it goes to talk about a three-fold cord is not so easily broken.
Right.
So when you get groups and numbers,
Right.
But bro, if I'm trying to build my house and I'm trying to be like, hey, look, man, I'm having trouble with this area right here. You know what I'm saying? And if you having trouble with that area right there, and you keep on going to that, it's gonna like almost be like, hey, I gotta be like Lot and Abraham, and I gotta be like, hey, look, man, I ain't got no problem with what you do. You see what I'm saying? But I'm trying to build the house this way. I'm trying to get away from that. So I go this way. You know what I'm saying? And you could go that way, just so I don't step on your toes or nothing. Cause at the end of the day, it's about the respect. You feel what I'm saying? I could respect, like I would tell people all the time, look, man, like I ain't gonna knock the beer out of your hand. Don't knock the weed out of my hand.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So like cause some people to think that, man, you doing that, man, you shouldn't be doing that. And I'd be like, so everything good on your end? And I'd be like, hey, you know, hey, both of us got wrong on our ends. So for me to even talk about what's wrong on your end, for you to talk about what's wrong on my end, it's a losing battle. We talking about the same thing here.
He without sin cast the first stone.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And then the I was telling Apostle, you know, the other day, I was like, listen, like when you're throwing stones at me and I'm not reacting to them, them stones are all at my feet.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? They're sitting there.
Yeah. It's a
You know?
choice.
It's a choice for me to throw it back.
Yeah.
I don't have to throw it back.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, if you're brought up in an environment where you're just consistently fighting, guess what? You're gonna fight back. It takes so much just to take a step back and
that's
just
the tradition, right?
Yeah, it's a tradition.
Yeah.
It takes so much to take a step back and just to look at certain things and be like, you know what, I'm not gonna deal with that, or I know I'm gonna deal with that. You know, and that's the area, you know, of my life, you know, what I'm working on 100% now, where I watch what I say.
Yeah.
I watch what I do. And it's not having nothing to do with because of the ministry or anything. That is because of the principle that is instilled in me now from the Holy Spirit. Like you cannot walk and do anything you want to do and think that I'm gonna say you're a child of God.
Or even say anything. Yeah. Like we gotta watch out. I was in the gas station the other day, and there was a girl. She had gave the man a 50, and she was like, whatever she was paying for out of 50, she made it known. And it was like 2 people in the line behind her. And the dude gave her back like change for like a 20 maybe.
Yeah, so he was wrong.
Yeah, and she was like, but she was cussing him out. I told you, bye. That's why I say out of 50, I said it on blah. She looking at the people behind him, the witness, and she was sitting there like, you know what I'm saying, trying to get them to agree with her.
Right.
And they were looking uncomfortable, bro. And I just happened to walk in, and I'm hearing all this. And the man knew he was wrong. He was correcting her. And I say, man, calm down, mama. You gonna get your money. You gonna get the right change. You good. You ain't got to carry on like that. You taking it too far now.
Right.
And she was like, oh, I know it's gonna be good, cause God got me. And I'm thinking to myself like,
you just said all them bombs, and now God got you.
That's what I'm thinking to myself. I'm thinking to myself like you know, like how, like if God, like in the scriptures it says God made us in His image and likeness.
Right.
But we'll curse another one out that God made in His image and likeness. But
yeah.
we'll bless God. So how can like a fountain spit out bitter water and sweet water at the same time?
That's why that's why the Bible said, "How could you love me you never seen, but hate the brother that's with you?"
You see what I'm saying? And that's why the commandments is strictly around. Like I don't care about the Torah, the law. Anybody that studies all those 630 something commandments and rules, and even the 10 commandments. But like he says, it boils down to 2.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Love God with everything you got in you, then love your neighbor as yourself. So if I can't have love for my fellow man, regardless of what he does, then it's I gotta look at it. Do I have love in my heart for God? Like, because He died for that person, even if they wicked, bro.
Yeah, you're right.
He died for that person.
He died for them.
So I'm undoing His work for me to even curse them. That's why I say bless your enemies. Like last night, open forum, we was reading on 1 Samuel 25 when Nabal, David was asking Nabal for some, some help. And Nabal was like, nah, I don't know you. You know what I'm saying? Who are you? Look, I went back to 1 Samuel 24. Saul was looking to kill David. And that's when he was in the cave and he cut his robe and let him go. 1 Samuel 25, David was finna go kill Nabal. And Nabal's wife Abigail came and saved him. 1 Samuel 26, Saul was coming after David again. And David backed off.
Right.
So what that let me know and tell me was, David learned not to repay evil with evil.
That's right.
In 3 chapters, back to back, David was learning. It was being established in him, not to return evil for evil. Because I believe it says in the book, I think in 2 Corinthians, like 1 somewhere it says, or 12 somewhere it says, you know, in the mouth of two or three witnesses, every word is established. It was 3 in a row of David could have killed this person trying to kill David. David said, I ain't gonna touch you.
Right.
3 times. He had to learn that, man, to become a king. It even happened when Absalom was taking over his kingdom.
It's his own son.
And the man was like, man, kicking stones and dust at David.
Yeah.
And David was like,
Chaniel.
and them hitters, they was gonna go. They were like, David, man, let me go touch him for you. Let me go kill him.
David like, he good.
Yeah, David says, nah, because the Lord's gonna repay me. Maybe the Lord will repay me for me not touching him, even though he's doing evil, even though he's in the wrong. He just had to take his hands off of him.
I'm gonna be honest though, that kind of hard.
It's not hard.
What you mean,
Like,
kind of?
We've
hard.
been raised
It is
for so
hard,
long because it's like I mean, Caribbean background, all of us, and we've been raised in a mindset, fight fire with fire.
Yeah, that's tradition.
So, eye for an eye.
That's it.
so
for
it's
a
like
That's in the scriptures.
I'm like, so it's like somebody do you wrong. It's kind of hard to like say, you know what?
And hold up, and the scriptures give you the right to do it too. Like the law gave you the right to do it. That's why you know Jesus was explaining to them. He was like, look, man, doesn't it say in the law, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth? But he was saying, but me, I'm saying, look, turn the other cheek. See, this is where mercy and grace is coming in.
But the thing is that a lot of people don't want to give you the grace that Jesus gives you when he died for us, because they figure that they're the only person that need grace.
But they want it for themselves.
They want it for themselves.
But they don't want to give it.
They don't want to give grace.
Correct.
I look at it like this: like if you have never gotten grace, how can you give it? So if somebody have never got grace, how can you give grace that you've never got?
I mean,
how can you give grace that you never received? You know, you might be dealing with somebody that's been in a situation where they've always been ran over. They've always been pushed over. So now when it's time for you, they're looking at you like, I don't feel no sympathy. I don't feel nothing for you. Okay, and you have heard that before.
But look, it's just that we're not conscious of it, because, like, for instance, like there was that parable saying the man was forgiven, you know, for this. Yeah. He couldn't pay it, and he got let go. He got let loose. And then he owed somebody, or somebody owed him, and he was like, nah.
I want my money.
Yeah, he was like, yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say. It happens to us, and we can recognize it, but sometimes we're selfish in the way where we don't want to do.
Sometimes, Jesus Christ. Bro.
No, because sometimes, look, I ain't gonna lie.
Sometimes.
No, look what I'm saying. Why I say sometimes is, look, man. Hey, like David was being chased by Saul for his life, right?
He was chased a lot of times.
Okay, but still, as he's being chased by Saul and hunted by Saul, he still found it in his heart to send his men to go and protect Nabal's sheep.
Exactly.
So that he couldn't lose anything.
So he didn't lose nothing.
Imagine if, like, a year that David didn't protect, he probably lost 5 sheep. He could have at least gave David a little bit, not even like, David, because your man was with me, I didn't lose anything. I could give you 1 sheep. I could give you 2. He didn't lose any. He could have gave him something. David was being chased and sent away his men that could have protected him.
Right.
To go protect some sheep. But the man ain't see that, though. You see what I'm saying? So now imagine you being good and you be like, man, I took away from my personal guard to send to protect you, to bless you. And you talking about who is David? I'm going to show you who David is. I'm going to come and take everything from you.
Got, yeah.
And that's what he was about to do. But the Lord dealt with him and showed him that wasn't right.
I just think David, to me, was just like a different human being, bro.
It's what he went through,
like,
though.
David is just like the kind of person that was like, when he know he's wrong, he humbled himself.
Yeah, you have to.
You know what I mean? Even when even at the threshing floor.
Yeah.
He's like, listen, he was the king. He's like, listen, don't mark it down. I don't want it on sale. I don't want no discount. I'm paying full price for it.
You got to.
You know, and a lot of people, they had that part of the authority. They'd be like, oh, I'm just going to pay, X, Y for it. It's all good.
Hey, man.
But David understood, like, listen, when God say, I found a man of my own heart, that's personal, bro. And when David was wrong, he humbled himself. Anytime David went through anything that he know could have destroyed him, he always seek the face of God.
And not to say that David was perfect.
He wasn't.
But that's what God honored about him, that he would fall on his face, humble himself, and be like, look,
even
man.
though he was rejected.
Yeah.
But see, he broke the tradition.
Man.
He took all that rejection and turned it into positive.
But
bro.
that was part of the sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember Ambassador Nuccia, Grandison Nuccia, he said one time when he got rid of his car,
Mm-hmm.
he said, man, he walked for like a year. And he says because he had to feel the sacrifice.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So if you ain't like,
if it don't cost you nothing, why is it a sacrifice?
let's be real about this, man. Like if somebody gave you something,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying, and you didn't blood, sweat, and tear over there, you ain't work over it. It don't really mean anything to you.
That's right.
But I don't care if someone gives you a raggedy piece of car, a hoopty, and you bought it. You know what I'm saying? And you work for it. You blood, sweat. You gonna take care of that thing like it's a Rolls Royce Bentley Phantom. You gonna take care of it. Cause you blood, sweat, and tear over it. I don't care how raggedy it is. But guess what? Someone could give you a real Phantom that you ain't paid for or work for. You gonna get one oil change on there. You can be like, man, it's too much money to get oil change on there. You'll go back to that person and be like, man, you'll maintain this for me, man. You'll take it. You'll get a spark plug change of maintenance on there. You won't work for it.
Right.
But the raggedy piece of little something that you got because you sweated, man, you'll treat that thing like it's the best thing on earth. Because you put into it, you sacrifice for it. Anytime somebody gets something easy, they don't care about it.
They don't care about it, man.
There was no test. There was no investment.
Look at Moses, bro. God gave him the 10 Commandments. He came down and saw the people acting a fool. He broke it.
And then he had to do it
He
over
had to do
again,
it. He
right?
had to do it himself.
And then he understood.
Then he understood. Like,
Yeah.
listen, it was easy when I had to sweat for it, but guess what? Now I got to sweat. And now I got a timeline because the Lord said, listen, when I show up here tomorrow, it better be done.
Even the Garden of Eden, right?
Yeah.
They ain't had to sweat.
They had to sweat.
So now they got to sweat. Now be like, whoa, Lord, now we know how merciful you was. Now we know how wonderful your works is.
So the anger of Moses, that tradition, came back and bit him in the butt.
It bite all of us in the butt.
Yep.
All
So we
of
got to
us.
be careful. You know, traditions are not always bad, but when we allow tradition to govern what we do, it makes the word of God, what the Spirit is saying, of no effect.
Well, that's why I say we can't lie to our spirit. We can't just be doing something just because just going through the motions. Like, for instance, what I tell, like, for instance, you know what? I tell my wife, like, me and my wife could say, I love you, I love you, I love you. But I'm not going to sit there and say, like, if I'm going out the door, I'm going to be late. Just, I love you, just to go through the motions. If I say it,
You got to mean it.
I'm going to think about something why I love my wife. Babe, you know what? You've been there for me. Babe, you had all these children for me. Babe, you never left me. Babe, you forgave me. I love you. I'm not gonna say it blank, man, because I'd be lying to my spirit if I say it blank.
Right.
If I'm just saying
Put
it just
some
because.
meaning behind it.
Yeah, and that's how us as people, man, we got to be, thinking like even if like you my brother and you know what I'm saying, I'm giving you a hug. I can't give you a blank hug, man. I got to give you a hug that means something, bro. Because otherwise, I shouldn't even hug you then or touch you.
That's true.
I'll be lying to my spirit, bro. That's what I'm saying, man.
Matthew don't hug nobody.
But that's what I'm saying. Just what I'm trying to say. If you're not gonna hug the person with the intent,
Right.
if you're gonna hug the person, be like, "Well, I hope I don't get corona from you." Don't hug the person. Just be real with yourself, and just don't do it.
Right.
Like if you got like intentions, or like if you gonna be like, man, I'm a come into the church just to get a job, just to get a wife, just to get this. Don't come into the church.
Don't come to the church.
It's just better that you just don't.
Bad motives.
Yeah, you don't, because that's what the Lord was saying. I was tired of the sacrifices of the blood and bullocks. It's just blood at this point, and it's full enough.
Don't
too
mean
much.
nothing.
Yeah, you're not repenting. You're not bringing fruit. Sacrifices worthy of repentance. So at that time, you know what I'm saying, he was like, okay, I'm gonna fix this. I'm gonna remedy this.
It's just like Cain and Abel, bro. Cain came with his best. Abel just was like, you can have whatever it is, But Cain put that work in. He gave God the best. The first thing that came out, he gave God, And Abel was like, man, this, you just gonna get what it is.
And the funny part was the Lord was like, why are you so vexed, Cain? He was like, if you had done right, I would have accepted your offering. And he says, because you ain't doing right, he says, sin is waiting to have you. It's gonna lay at your door, and it's gonna wait for you.
Man, I said that wrong. Abel's the one that gave the best.
Yeah,
I said that wrong. My bad.
But Cain, because Cain was like, he still ain't let it go. He was envious of his brother.
Very envious.
He was jealous of his brother. Now hate started coming in his head. Then it turned into murder, turned into sin. And God is always right. It had him because he never let it go.
Never.
So it's a lot of us that sometimes we have a lot of things we be like, man, I let it go, and we ain't let it go. It's still there, and every chance it get, it snowballs into something bigger. And
you ever ask yourself about like Jacob and Esau?
Yeah, what about him?
Like, why was Esau mad? Like, he gave it up. He gave it willingly. And then like people always say he was tricked out of it, but bruh, if you hungry and you want something, and you say, okay, all right. Say for instance, like I'm hungry, and I say, yo, minister, man, I got $100. Can you grab me something to eat? And you don't bring me no change. Why would I be mad?
No,
I ain't never said to bring me. I said, yo, here's $100. Go get me something to eat. You understand what I'm saying?
No, because one thing about it is, if you know somebody is like something, like say for instance, like he knew that Jacob was a trickster. You see what I'm saying?
We all knew Jacob was a trickster, but how you figure he was tricked out of his birthright?
No.
The man was hungry. He said, listen, you gave me a birthright, I feed you.
Well,
It was a setup all the way.
I feel like
It was.
when you don't understand what you got, that's when.
That's I understand. Esau didn't understand what he
So
had.
that's the reason why you say he was mad.
Yeah,
because he didn't
like,
understand what
he
he
didn't
got.
understand what he
until
had.
It was too late. It's like after the fact.
And then now you want to
like,
come after your brother later on down the line? That's
People are petty, man.
But okay. Let's say like for instance, let's say
and Jacob was still elevated.
Yeah. But the point that I'm being is like if you say for instance you know someone they doing like 3-card Monty, you know that card game 3-card Monty.
No.
When,
yeah.
When they put the rock in there and they trying to say guess what one it is, and you know they hustling you right, but you thinking that you gonna get the money right, and you lose still because they out hustled you.
Yep.
So I think that's kind of it played a part in that. He knew Jacob was a trickster. He knew Jacob was gonna trick him, and he got tricked anyway. So that would make you mad, right?
No, it wouldn't make me mad. But somebody got a question for you. They said, but Minister Donovan, sometimes we come into the church for the wrong reason, and God get a hold of you, and you have a real experience.
That is true. And that, I mean, more than that's what happened with Saul. Saul was on his own agenda, and he was, doing what he thought he was doing for God. But there was a trip to Damascus, and the real thing hit him.
Hit him, boom.
Bah.
Yeah.
And you can't deny the real thing when it hits you. You know what I'm saying? So even the tradition he was in, it ripped him out of the tradition he was in.
Took him straight out of it.
And it caused him never to go back to it, because even in the book of Galatians, he would say, man, I went up by revelation. He didn't go up by flesh and blood.
Exactly. He said by revelation.
So there was nothing that tradition could tell him after that point. After that point, the Holy Spirit was really his tradition.
And you see the pain he went through? He was blinded. And that ain't something nice. Like you had vision 1 second, and boom, all of a sudden you blind.
You even said it one time. You said the thing that he was doing, he was like the ambassador or the role model of persecuting Christians. And imagine now he's like, okay, I got this. I'm the ambassador.
Yeah.
Like, look,
I'm good. Nothing can stop me.
I'm gonna talk to them people and tell them why I'm doing this. And them people wanted to kill him.
Yep.
Now tell me if that ain't suffering.
That is suffering.
The same people that used to hold you up on the pedestal.
But I'm saying that's the deliverance that he went through. Being stoned, being locked in prison. All that was deliverance. He did so much. Let me tell you something. When you look at, I always call Paul the Saddam Hussein of the Christians, bro. Cause he didn't care, bro.
Nah,
he was killing everything because of tradition. Yeah. Because he was there. He was a kid holding the coats when they were stoning Stephen.
He agreed to it.
Yeah. So when you talk about pulling somebody out of that, and then now converting them to believing that the same people that you're persecuting, the people you're going to run with and walk with, that takes some serious hurting, bro.
Okay, but
because you remember Paul even prayed to God 3 times, and he said, "Listen, take this thorn out of my flesh."
Yeah.
And the Lord listen, because I always figure the Lord's probably say, if I take that thorn out, he might go back to the whole hymn.
Mm-hmm. But look, imagine this. It's no different from me saying I'm gonna leave the streets. I'm gonna come into church. I'm going to get a good job in the church, marry a good woman in the church, have a good family in the church, and then go back out there and show everybody in the streets what I done did. I go back out in the streets, and they looking at me like they want to kill me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Like, bro,
what happened?
Yeah. And then now I got to run and be like, hey, you know what? I came about this the wrong way. Me trying to deliver these people here, it ain't me gonna deliver them.
God gotta do it.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now I got to go back in, you know what I'm saying? Not the church really, but the Spirit of God, and really figure this thing out, that he gonna do all the work. Like it says, Saul. Paul. He watered, Apollos planted, but it was really God that was doing the work. And sometimes we mess up like that, man. Boy, we make it seem like we was the best invention since sliced bread. and we gonna go out there and do the work that God was supposed to do.
Right.
And we'll have people following us, like the people they was having division. Paul was like, I hear there's divisions among you.
Yeah.
Some of y'all follow Apollos, some follow Peter, some follow, but it's Christ divided. And he was like, I'm glad I ain't baptized not one of y'all. Because he was like, it's not my job to baptize. It's all I'm supposed to do is preach the cross, preach the crucifixion. That's it. And then take your hands off and let God do the work.
Right.
But sometimes we be doing too much, man.
Sometimes we do too much. Right, Matthew?
Sometimes.
So I mean, cause you gotta sometimes, man. Sometimes not even in our knowing, bro. We do the right thing, bro.
Yeah.
That's God, right?
Yep.
I can't even say sometimes because it's like sometimes it feels like it happening too much.
I ain't gonna sit there and say all the time, man. Hey,
it happened too many times.
look, even in the guy that was supposed to Balaam curse the children of Israel, he made up in his mind to go and curse the children of Israel. Even in him trying to curse the children of Israel, he was blessing them, doing the right thing.
That's so true.
So that's what I'm trying to say. When God got a hold of you, man.
God got a hold of you. It's a wrap, man.
Yeah, Pharaoh could kill. You know what I'm saying?
You're gonna conform. You're gonna start doing the right things.
Man,
he gonna get through all that mess.
He'll use you to prove his point and to prove his truth. You know what I'm saying? Like, just think about it. Why were the children of Israel able to walk through the Red Sea on dry land?
Dry land.
And then
it stayed open until the last person got through it.
And then Pharaoh's chariots, they couldn't even ride through on horses.
They got all them sorcerers.
And Pharaoh didn't have to send them. He could have just let them people go, like he said he was going to do. But in his hard heart, in his heart of unbelief, it showed really who believed in the power of God and who didn't.
You know what I always used to say? It's like, Pharaoh didn't even want the people. He just wanted the gold back. Because they left it all the gold and stuff. Because the Bible said they were so heavy that they were bent, their backs was bent over. So you know they were riding with some good money, some good riches with them. So I think I just always say like, man, Pharaoh wanted that money back. Pharaoh like, man, I let them go with all that gold.
So it goes back to the question you asked me about Esau and Jacob.
Yeah.
Pharaoh was like, okay, I'm gonna let you get out of here with the gold. Think you got away to freedom, then I'm gonna come and kill you and take it back.
Take it back.
But he couldn't out trick them. You see what I'm saying? Because God had his back.
Yep.
So that's why I try to say Esau was trying to out trick Jacob too. Remember, he tried to get everything back from Jacob.
Yeah.
But it was too late.
Too late.
Yeah,
What the devil meant for evil, God made for good, and He will allow it to bless you. God bless you. Well, it's been awesome. It's been real, Brother Matthew. Final thought.
It's crazy.
It's been a while, so I'm gonna see if he's
breaking traditions.
He's still up there. You think he's still up there?
Yeah, I do.
All right, boom,
I
let's
give
go.
him that. I got faith in you, bro.
It's like that's one of the things that I'm trying to make it a goal of mine to.
Don't try it. Make it.
You're right.
Yeah.
My goal is to make that my mantra, to break certain things, because I noticed that yes it's convenient, because the tradition is just a tool we use because something is comfortable and we don't like change. Change is uncomfortable to us. So regardless of the situation, I'm just gonna step forward, and I'm bringing it forth to whomever. You guys, I understand that tradition is comfortable. It seems like it's the right path, but have you spoken to God about it? Because like, regardless of how convenient tradition may be, sometimes God is calling you to be like a Jonah. Sometimes He's calling you to be like a Moses. It's like, legit, you're going to be facing certain things, and it's like, tradition is not going to help you. Tradition doesn't teach you how to deal with this situation. Sometimes you legit have to have that close conversation, that close partnership with God, because like where God is taking you and where life is taking you, because anytime there's an anointing on your life, there's enemy right there, right behind you, just waiting for you to slip up. Just like how brother Donovan say, a lot of stones are thrown, but it's gonna they might bounce off of you, but they're still at your feet.
Yeah.
So it's like, regardless of how rough it gets, don't pick up the stone because it's not gonna help you. That's just tradition saying, hey, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth.
Yeah.
But God is saying, just what was it? You said it earlier. Oh my goodness. You were saying like you just gotta let it go. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's good.
So it's like, regardless, sometimes you really just have to let it go and just let God, because He's the only one who's gonna be on when the storm is brewing, and the ship is tossing.
Yeah.
He's the only one who's just have to speak the word and calm the ocean. So he, just like how he calmed the sea, that's how it is in our lives. As long as you leave it to God, regardless of how rough the situation is. And I do believe, I said it earlier during the podcast, there's a tsunami of funds coming our way, and it's like, hey, I stand firm by that. It's like, because I know who my father is, who my father is, and he always will provide. So if it's a tsunami he's sending my way, a blessing,
I'm taking it.
I'm accepting it. I'm not gonna run from it because of tradition. That's it.
Facts. Pastor Laura, if possible, make yourself available for next Tuesday. She said, so you say your relationship with God will break all traditions. I can't agree with you on that. I mean, a lot of people have relationships with God, and they still stuck in some traditions. It all depends on how in depth their relationship is with God. Yeah. Okay, there's levels to that, and I mean, they could just, I don't know. Minister, my final thought.
Man, I just glanced down at this bottle right here, and I'm not gonna tell you where it's from, but it just says a future full of possibilities starts by drinking pure quality water.
Facts.
And what I understand is sometimes, like, my daughter came to me the other day and she says, her teacher says, there's nothing wrong with you. You're perfect just the way you are. Mm-hmm. And I told her, I said, okay, just because you're perfect just the way you are, I said, it doesn't mean that you walk around with your hair looking all kind of way. You don't comb your hair. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Or you walk around, you know what I'm saying, and you don't bathe. You know what I'm saying? I said, you got to maintain yourself. I said, the thing about it is, if you have a nose that God gave you and he made you perfect just the way you are, you don't have to look at someone's nose who might be bigger than yours or smaller than yours and want to have their nose or want to conform to the world and what they have. I say, so in what you're saying is true, but then there's another side to it as well. And I always try to tell, people, like, we're not perfect, David wasn't perfect. Many of the people in the Bible wasn't perfect. But the reason why the Most High God sent his only begotten son that was perfect to come down to this earth was to die for our sins so that we could overcome in his perfection. Mm-hmm. But if we never try to get towards his perfection or his pureness, if we never try to bring ourselves closer, and if we just stay in our imperfect ways and be like, we're never going to be perfect, so even why bother or try, then we will stay right there.
Right.
So that my final thoughts is, just like you said, if we don't break tradition, we stay right there.
Stay right there.
Yeah.
Amen. All right, so, I'm going to piggyback on what Minister Amanda said. There's no perfect being. Nobody's perfect.
Nah.
But one thing I do believe in is progression. And if you progress every day, it will lead to perfection. Mm-hmm. But you have to make that step, and you have to have that mindset to say, listen, I am going to do, I'm going to keep on doing. Not start, run, walk, and then just fall off. Then you just fall right back into tradition. But when you keep on the road and you keep on going and keep on plowing, now it starts to create something different inside of you. With me, reading the word, and encouraging myself, I build myself up a lot, and I started to see a lot of things. And I started to, a lot of things before I even answer, the Lord drops it in my spirit what to say and when to say it. I don't answer like I used to. I'm not quick to trigger, like I used to answer and say stuff like I used to say because, I just went through a period of time where I was like, listen, like, it's somebody in my life that was just so negative. I was like, you know what? I'm just like done with it. And then the Lord like, listen, that's not how we handle this. You know, so you have to understand, like, you're gonna go through, you know, different scenarios, different situations, but that's God trying to build you up as an individual and to show you that, you know, even though you have imperfection around you, you know, you can't be perfect, but you just got to keep on with the progress. You got to keep going. Now, when you fall off and fall into that trap and fall into what that trap that was set up for you, then guess what? You're falling right back into tradition. Where like you stop talking to the person, or you stop, you know, you stop, like, pretty much stop talking to the person, which is not good. Because if God takes your life during that point, or you lose your life during that point, guess what? Now you're going to hell. You know, because you have unforgiveness in your heart. But if we keep on progressing and keep on pushing, then we understand what God, the goodness that God have in store for us. You know, we have to be consistent and we have to be relentless. Those are two words that is just in my data bank. It's in my thing every day. Consistency is key, and being relentless is key. If you're consistent and relentless, you will keep on pushing. I look at Noah. Noah was building the ark, you know what I mean? And he had to be consistent. He had to get up every day and speak to God and understand, okay, God, where do I put this board? Where do I put this? Where do I put that? He had to be in consistent conversation with God. Then he had to be relentless behind it to get it done. And Noah got it done. The water came, the flood came, and then after the flood came, it blew my mind when I read this in the Bible, because I never really paid attention to it. When Noah came out of the flood, him and his family, you know, Noah never felt back into tradition. He never wanted to, oh, let me go build a house. Let me go start life over. You know what Noah did? He built an altar, and he offered up a sacrifice unto God. The thing is that we don't offer the sacrifice up to God when we go through this stuff, but we do it later on. Once everything is settled, everything is good, like, oh yeah, thank you, Jesus, you got me through this. When we got through the situation, that's when we should have offered up that sacrifice to God. And when God smelt it, that's when God said, listen, from this day on, I will never do this again. I'll never flood the earth again. So we have to understand that tradition could hold us bound and hold us back and keep us pulling in the wrong direction. But if you be consistent and be progressive and keep progressing, you know, you'll see the difference and see the change within you, and you'll see the change that God wants you to be. It's been awesome. It's been real. It's just a conversation where we say hashtag talk about it.